Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you had an amazing week. I did, and if you haven't, then try to figure out how to make it better. What's not working for you. Anyways, I know last week I uploaded a video on the mural I did at the Beerback Park, uh, and I have a funny story about the West Side San Jose mural. Um, Again, like I said, I was in high school, and it was just a bunch of high school kids, me, CM, Severe, and Spare, and they're like helping me out, and cause I usually try to knock them out in a day or two, and we're working on the mural, and I was probably like a couple hours in, and all of a sudden I actually don't see him right away. I turn around, I hear like, "Hey, stop!" And I turn around, and it's a police officer, and he's kind of parked in the wrong direction. He parked across the street, but he's facing the opposite direction. So he basically spotted us and then ran over. And I turn around and have a spray can in my hand, and CM's on the ladder, and then the police officer's like, "Put the cans down," and I think he's expecting us to run or something, and we're all kind of like, "Oh, we have permission for this." He's like, "Who gave you permission?" And like, "Get off the ladder and put this stop painting," and he's kind of like a little bit nervous. He's by himself, and CM ignores him, and he gets really angry, the police officer, and he's like, "Get off the ladder," and he's like ready to like, I feel like he's ready to arrest somebody. And I'm like, okay, everybody like relax. We have permission, and okay, we'll stop. And he's like, "Who's in charge?" And I'm like, "I'm in charge." And he's like, "But yeah, but you're a kid. Like, who's really in charge, basically? Who gave you permission to do this?" And I said, "The Gardner Community Center." "Who are they?" And I'm like, "They're right there down the street, like literally, like right there, like maybe 2,000 feet away across the field." And I can't remember if somebody ran or I said, "Go get somebody, go get an adult," or because we were kind of like arguing with the police officer. And then moments later, maybe it might have been 2 or 3 minutes later, Tony Torres from the Gardner Community Center comes running over, and he's like probably in his mid-20s, and the police officer's like, "Okay, you in charge," and they start talking. I don't remember the details of what they went over, but we basically had to put the whole project on standstill till the police officer was satisfied with the information he wanted. It was just kind of funny because we were all like teenagers, so he was like, "I'm not listening to you teenagers, so like just stop painting, stop what you're doing, don't try to run, and like stay put." So it was a little funny. But at the moment, I was like, "Oh my God, we're gonna get arrested for illegal mural? This is crazy." I had to share that with you guys. Yeah, so I'll tell you guys that story. And then the other story on the Aztec calendar, this is when I was doing the renovations, the new renovations on it. Uh, where I was on the ladder and I was painting, and this beautiful hummingbird, it was green with yellow, like basically came by a few feet from my head and was hovering. I heard it because I heard this buzzing sound, bzzz, and I thought it was a bug or something. I turn around and it's a hummingbird, and he sees me, looks right at me. It looks at the wall, and it's kind of hovering there. And I'm like, wow, like there's no vegetation here, but it's kind of looking like it's watching us. And it was really interesting because I felt like, wow, it's almost like, "What are you doing? Well, what are you painting up here?" Like, and I don't know if he smelled the paint, I don't know what it was, but he hovered there for like a minute and was watching. And I'm like, and so I just kept painting, and I could hear it. And then finally it just flew away. And then someone else noticed it as well. And we're like, "Oh, that'd be, like it's like a spirit, like a spirit animal. You're the hummingbird." And I'm like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." He came over to hang out with me for a minute and watch me. So then at the end, no, I came back one more time, and I designed a hummingbird using my name, and I'm gonna show that a clip of that I wrote today. I just thought that was a really cool story and experience, having interaction with nature in the city, and then I ended up designing my name using the hummingbird. So basically, the wings is my name, Antonio Torres Nava. Okay, now we start the vlog with what I mentioned last week about 1 point perspective. And I will try to go over 2 point, but I want to make sure you guys get 1 point in as solid as much as possible before we move on. These things get more complicated. So again, I hope you have your pencil, marker, pen, whatever you need. You definitely need paper, and a ruler would be great as well. All right. This is the horizon line and the eye level. So you're gonna hear both terminologies. You know, put a horizon line or put an eye level. And this is what you do first before you start anything. As an observer, this is where the horizon line sits at your eye level. So when you're looking down the street and you see the horizon, that is your eye level. And this illustration I'm indicating here pretty much where the horizon line sits. From this point, put a dot, you know, it's big enough where you could see it on your page to basically, that'll become your vanishing point, and put that on the horizon line as I did. So the idea is to create radiating lines as I did. So they're all going to that vanishing point in the center. So do that now, do that next. And you could get as accurate as you want. For the lesson, I'm just trying to get you an idea, some conceptual ideas of what perspective is and how it works. So my grid's a little funky. It's not the best grid. I could sit here and measure out every single square, but I just want to do kind of like a rough ground plane. That's what you call the ground plane, because it's on the full ground underneath the horizon line. Now, do the same for above the horizon line. So grid just like you did the ground plane. So just, like again, mine is rough. Yours could be a little tighter. That's fine. Tighter is better. But I'm just doing the example of what it looks like. From this point, I put a rectangle. You could do a square or rectangle. The idea is that this rectangle will be the corner of the room, 2 corners of each room, the right side and the left side. So do that next, and follow again one of the grids that you did to keep your line straight and on the top and the bottom, and then we're going to go from here. Now, from both corners of the room, I radiated the lines on both sides outwards to create the side of the walls. So do that next. Again, I'm doing this freehand, so it's a little wonky, but I realized it's a little hard to draw on the ruler with markers. Anyways, so on paper it would be way easier. So now, from both top and bottom, start from the top and draw a line straight down to connect the ground line. And now you have 3 walls. Can you see that? All right. From here, we could either continue the walls out. You know what? I'm gonna continue the walls out a little longer so we could do more. Okay. Here it is. I extended the walls a little bit longer so that I could put more stuff in the room. I forgot to mention this. Maybe in the beginning you guys should start with light lines. If you have tracing paper, you could do like an overlay. But right now, let's just do light lines. And I'm gonna mention that earlier. So you could add a door and a window, just simple shapes. Always start with simple shapes. Don't start noodling anything. I was gonna say, as you see, my horizon is at a kid's POV. It's basically a little bit by the doorknob. So this would be a kid's perspective. An adult, the eye level would go more like up here, about 2 feet above. So an adult would be this level. This is a kid's eye level. This level could be a dog, a cat, and then super down here would be like a mouse, and an insect would have to be way down here. A basketball player or giant creature could be up here looking down at you, which would create more drama as well. But right now we have like a kid's POV. Here I've indicated a little more details. I took the rectangles and actually put shapes to indicate curtains, curtain rods, molding around the window. Same thing with the door. You have to think about little details like that, because that way you go beyond like a kid's drawing. You actually think of the details that exist there. Again, this is pretty rough, but I'm just trying to give you an idea. You could spend hours on a drawing like this. Anyways, the next step is to think, okay, what kind of room is it? It's obviously a living room because it's the front door and the window. It doesn't look like a huge house, you know. So okay, what kind of person might live there? What is it? A single person? Is it elderly? Like what kind of furniture might they have? What kind of picture frames? So you start thinking things like that. And keep in mind, you're always using the grid on the ground and the ceiling to kind of help you figure out which direction. Like you see my mat on the ground, you see that line radiating to the point, and the side of the little side table as well, and the feet. So start kind of like thinking like that, like, okay, this is gonna go to this point, as all of it's going to that center point. It's one point perspective. It's not a dramatic scene, it's a calm scene, and I'm setting up the mood and who lives here, or what's, you know, someone's gonna walk in or someone's gonna walk out, or someone's sitting there watching TV, and then, you know, think like that. So I'm gonna do a couch. So I'm thinking, okay, but you need like a quick 3D drawing, like, you know, did this box to show like, you know, where the couch is gonna be, and you kind of build the couch within that, and it's kind of going back to the vanishing point again. So think like that, like build the box and then start kind of like a sculptor, carve back into it. So here's a quick rough. I indicated the couch, showing you're proceeding back to the vanishing point. The other side, this side is parallel to the room, parallel to these grid. So it's kind of, there is no perspective on that. Only everything is going to the vanishing point in the horizon line. I added a picture frame, thinking there's probably a frame behind the couch. Again, keep it rough. You're just trying to get familiar with using perspective, having a light grid on your paper, building these objects inside your simple background, and then kind of like following your grid to basically map out other things in the room. Using my grid, I figured out where I wanted to put the TV, the coat rack on the wall, and then I played around with some shadows. It's not perfect, but I was just trying to give you an idea how to build a room using perspective. Like from here, if I wanted to make it better, I could do this. I could either move the TV. You know what? I would actually move the couch this way, probably so that it lines up better on this line, so that the viewer who's watching TV is directly in front of the television. You could do that. Another option you could do is you could push this whole wall that way a few feet, and then just slide the TV over towards the vanishing point a couple of feet. But I think the couch right now would be the easiest thing to do for me right now at this point. If I'm like, okay, I like this composition, I like this couch, I like this room, it's very simple. Looks like somebody older lives here. They like have this old antique television. They have this simple, they don't have a lot of money. They have this simple, coat hanger. The room is very sparse. They have like one painting on the wall. It's probably from Salvation Army, or someone gave it to them. They have some generic curtains. They have this kind of a regular old couch, nothing fancy. So you could add more to it, but this is like a nice foundation you could work from. Again, looking at this sketch for me, myself, I would move the couch over at least up to here, just so it sits in front of the television a little better. But I just want to give you an idea. This is pretty rough. And that's kind of where you have to start with something like this. At this level, you don't want to get into too much noodling. And in animation, this is great for showing it to a director. Like, hey, this is the idea I'm thinking about. What do you think? And or they'll give you a sketch like this. Like, hey, this is like, tighten this up, make it clean, make it look really nice. And I want this idea. I want a 60s style, a 50s style, modern. I want something contemporary. I want a couple that lives, a young couple that lives here. I want an elderly man that lives here. Whatever it is, it's like you have to kind of like take those cues and then build this, to something polished. But this is how you start with like a rough. And that grid will help you set up the furniture and the walls and everything. I'll go more into depth about it, but this is pretty much a good idea how to get started using perspective. So yeah, so like I said, this is a great way to start a quick rough idea. You could totally tighten this up. You know what? Let's do that. Why don't we do that in an assignment? Pretend I'm your director, and I'm like, you know what? Here's my sketch. It's rough, and I want you guys, as a designer, to, I'd say, give me an elderly couple that lives in a small town, population 500, and they had like 3 kids, and the mom was a homestay mom, and she volunteers at the library, and the father is a retired, miner. He used to work for the mines, and now he's retired, and they're living off, their pension and their retirement plan, and they had a, calm, quiet life. How would their place look like? What kind of place would they live in? They're not big spenders. They're frugal. So yeah, you guys should have fun with this. You know what? I might play with it myself. Yeah, let's do that. Let's have that little assignment. I think it'd be great to get you guys thinking like a background designer, and trying to draw in perspective. And like I said, follow my notes, my idea. Another thing before we end this, if you want, you could also grid the edges like this. You can grid the sides, the walls, and that's extra, but it will help you with the alignment of things on the sides. And I probably would have done another grid like this, just a little tighter. But that's, I think, better when you're really going to get into building it. But as a rough, what we did was perfect. Just a quick grid, knock it out, and then now when you're going into a deeper grid, you could do like each one of these could be 2 feet or a foot, and you could like start measuring points. And that's what I learned at Art Center, to do that. And it's a little more tedious, but you'll get a solid drawing. I mean, again, for a background designer and animation, that's too much. You could do a little bit of that, more for like, spacing things around, but not to grid the whole thing, because it'll take way too long to build something. But for our assignment, I think this would be great for you guys you do a tight grid, and then from this sketch here, and build on that, and then have fun. Just have fun experimenting, playing around. But the idea is have the horizon line, find your eye level. If you want it low, high, mid, and then grid your room, and then design your room. And this is 1-point perspective. I hope you guys learned something today, and I hope you guys have fun. You know what? I'm gonna join you guys on this little assignment. Maybe I'll do a tighter rough off of this, tighter drawing on this on paper, and just take this sketch that I did and then kind of like build on that. All right, guys, and I'll show you next week. All right, have a good one. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend, and have a great week, and take care of yourselves. be safe, and thank you again for coming to my channel. And I appreciate you guys subscribing. I appreciate you guys giving me likes. And I hope you learned something. Thank you so much. Have a great week. Bye.